So you are welcome back to book publishing class. In the last week, we started the class and we had a discussion on what the class is about, what the course entails. And we realized that at the end of the class, you should learn how to produce a book and go through the necessary processes of book production. So today we are moving on to language in book publishing. And before that, in the last class, we mentioned that the class needs to be grouped into a group of 10. And I've explained to the class representatives how the grouping should be done, which I believe they're actually working on. So once the grouping completes, the group member will choose a leader who will coordinate the group and the group executive. So once the groups are ready, each of the groups should supply 3 book titles. 3 book titles, and each title must have the synopsis of what the book is about. Once we approve your title, then we can proceed into the process of gathering materials for the book and break the title down to chapters, assign a chapter. And once your chapters have been approved, then you divide the chapter to the group members to gather material and start the write-up. So when that is done, the work has fully started. But beside that, let's look at our business today. We are looking at language in book publishing. Language in book publishing. You know that language is crucial in book. What you read in a book is language with which the book is written. And language in book should communicate to the reader. In book publishing, the language used in composition of a book should be the language of communication of the readers. If the readers do not share the language used in a book, it means that the readers are not the target audience. So those who use that particular language should be the target audience of the book. You can't expect to write a book in German and bring it to the Department of English to be used as a reading text, because the communication gap has been breached. Therefore, such book need to be interpreted into English before it can be used at the Department of English. Such texts can only be used where German is being learned as a language, so that the literature of German could be studied by those who engage in such learning. So the language used in the composition of a book should be the language of communication of the audience, so that the writer will be able to communicate to the reader. So that will also enable the publisher to connect the reader to the author, because the publisher will make the book ready, pass it across to the audience, who are the reader. Then it connects at the same time to the writer, so that the reader will understand the message that the writer has for them. In the process of language usage, we need to observe that ethical, cultural codes of language used in speech community should be put into consideration in book publishing. Ethical has to do with the moral situation, moral code of a society, and also cultural code. So you as a writer, you need to understand the cultural codes that guide how language should be used in your environment. You cannot write against the cultural code. You cannot write against the moral standard. like we have in this nation, all the queer literature is not welcome here. Whereby you are writing about homosexual, lesbianism, and all the rest is against our culture. So such texts may not be worked because it will be seen as a text that is corroding the moral value of society and attacking the cultural stand of society. So the language used in the book should respect the cultural codes of the language and ethical code at the same time. It should not contradict the nature of language use in the speech community. It should factor into consideration how people use their language morally, culturally, and socially in the speech community, so that such book will have its audience and gain general acceptance in the community. So any book that ignores the moral codes and provides sensitive, controversial information about a society may put the author and the publisher into trouble with authorities in the society. If the book you have written violates the moral code, the morality of your community, and play with sensitive information about a society, such author may get into trouble, and that's the reason the publisher may not want to publish such texts, because the authority may pounce on the publisher, close the publishing firm down, and also get the publisher and the author arrested to charge them for creating chaos or crisis in the society, for publishing what they are not supposed to publish. Because ignoring the moral codes, we show that such text is teaching the children immorality, which is contrary to the nature. And if there is some sensitive situation in the society that's what you want to write to publish, such situation may contradict the peace enjoyed in the society. And that's the reason a good publisher and editor, once they go through such text, they reject it and tell the author that this thing is not publishable, stating their reason for such rejection, because it will lead to controversial issue and cause problem for their organization. So an author must not ignore the moral code and should be careful of sensitive information in such a write-up. So language of a book is supposed to focus on the audience. It must focus on the audience. It should be the nature of the language that the audience understand, and the nuances in such language should be the one that will appeal to the audience society, audience communication mode. So, and also it should be the kind of language that appeals to social group for which the book is written. If you're writing for the youth, your language should be what the youth actually want to hear. Writing for the children, the language used in that book must be what will appeal to the children. If you are writing for ladies, it should be the kind of language that will appeal to the ladies, that will show that they are valued, they are appreciated, they are wonderful. If you are writing for the young men, our audience, it should be the language that will bring out their value, their valor, their virtue as a man, their strengths, their ability to achieve. And writing for the elders, it should be a write-up that will value the old age and the wisdom inherent in experience. because there are some experience that cannot be bought with your money until you pass through that journey. So your writing must imbibe or employ the language that apply to the social group which constitutes your audience. It must not violate the moral value, the cultural value. Because if you use the language carelessly, there is legal implication. Legal implication is that the company that published the work might be sued alongside the author. The query will be that once the editor of the company and publisher have seen the content of such book, why did they publish it? They should have rejected the book and turned down the offer. So, meaning they are going ahead to publish such book, the publisher had collaborated with the writer in order to achieve a particular goal. And that's the reason the language is crucial in book publishing. The language will project the nature, the quality of your organization. That's what you believe in. And it will show that the company does not consider sensitivity of environmental issue. And in the process of writing, if you as a writer must use information from different books, you must acknowledge the source. You cannot just keep somebody's work and claim it to be your own, except you want to be a pirate. And if you try to do that, you'll be treated as a pirate. So a writer must acknowledge the source of information used in the book. You saw the information somewhere. It's right for you to state that this information is actually from this particular text, this particular book, this particular community. And if you're a member of that community, you need to state that in my community, this is our heritage. This is what we believe in. And this is how we do things. What I present here is not just for me, it's for all the members of the community. And by that, every member of the community will be carried along. That what you have written in your book is just projecting the cultural heritage of the whole community. So you must state the source of your information. The one you just tell AI to generate this for you, it will generate it, but that is not your property. It's not your identity. Whatever it generates does not belong to you. It's not from your brain. The owner of the work might see it and put up a challenge across to you, because some business is to search. Whatever it finds, present it. Like I said in our previous class, someone wrote the program that you are using to search information online. So if you are to use a quotation, in case of using direct expression, state the source. You must let us make us to realize who the author of the work is. When was it published? Which year? And in the proper references section, supply all the necessary information about the text. You can't just pick live statements, direct expression, without stating the source. And if you're using direct expression, you must insert it in a quotation mark, or else you are claiming that you are the one that made that statement. And that will not help you, especially when you are writing your projects. Because your project, you need to read many sources, many materials, then come up with your findings from them. Look at their own view, their thoughts, their ideology. Then try to prepare your own in a unique manner. Say this person has investigated this, came up with this finding. I observe that this is this according to this author. So all of them may say something relevant to your but name them, cite them correctly. So if you are using paraphrase, you have read and you paraphrase the expression, still indicate the name of the author and year of publication. But if you are quoting, you must take the page number where you take that expression from. You must take the page number where you take that expression from. If it's just less than 3 lines, then you can put quotation mark. But if it's more than 3 lines, you may need to use indented citation. Placing the colon first, then the line below, put the quotation there. And don't let it begin from the beginning of the paper. It must not end with the paper. It has to be in between to show. And at the same time, you must indicate the page number where you got the information from. And in paraphrase, just state it in your own expression. You have read it, write it in your own language. Some words must change, like the verb and some other element, but it must carry the correct and real information. Name the author that said it. Maybe according to Adewale Adeyanju, phonology is this, and it can be seen from this different perspective. Then it must not be direct statements of the author. It should have been changed, paraphrased, rephrased, in order to send the message across. So, and if you are using general information, you need to make reference to those who have worked earlier on it. Some people have written what you are doing, information is there anywhere. But those who have written earlier, make reference to them and show how you have added to the information they had, what they stated before, because you are not supposed to present the same thing, but you need to add some things to it to show that. So while you engage in citing the sources of information in your book, you need to follow the necessary step. Name of the author is crucial. Date of publication is important. Title of the book and publisher. Based on the referencing style, you may need to include place of publication, but the modern or the latest referencing style has ignored the place of publication. Stating is not necessary, but you must state the name of the author. If it's a book, but if it's a chapter in book, you will state the name of the author of that chapter. Then state the name of the editor of the book, name of the author of that chapter, the title of that chapter. After you stated the name of the author of that chapter, then what is the title of that chapter? Then who are the editors of the book? You state the name of the editors, then title of the book is set. When was the book published? Which year? Nobody asks you for the month, just the year. Then after you have stated the year, then tell us the publisher, because the place may be ignored. And if what you are citing is a journal, an article in a journal, in that case, you state the name of the author of the article, the year the article was published, the name of the journal, name of the author of the article, the year the article was published, so the title of the article. After you have stated the title of the article, then state the name of the journal in which the article was published. Once you have done that, what remains is the volume. What is the volume of that article? Because article has volume number. It may have volume 1, number 1, volume 10, number 1, volume 11, Number 2, state the volume and the edition of that volume, the number. And after that, you don't need to take the place of publication or whatever, or the publisher. The next thing you go to is that, tell us the page number of that article in that book, maybe from 10 to 25. Write 10, then to 25 to indicate it, so that we have the information on the source of the material that you have used. So that information will help the author to provide adequate information on the source of materials. So all the materials you use, you must state their source. You can't just pick a material and use it and just drop it there. No, you must state the source of your information, because it is not actually your own. You take someone's work and use it. So in doing that, another thing you need to note is that the way you use language determines the quality of the publication, determines the quality of the publication. If your language is poor, there will be a problem with your publication. If your language is poor, there will be a problem with your publication. And that's why you need to note that language is crucial. And in using your language, cite the sources of your information that you have gathered here and there. And your language must be well prepared to convey your information to your audience. So that's that about language in book publishing. But we are still going later to treat English in book publishing when we get there proper. Because if your book is very beautiful, well attractive, but the language is poor, you know it will discourage your reader. And I know you will have read some books, well designed, fine graphic, nature, but there may be nothing to write home about in the body of the work because of the nature of the language used in it. So before we proceed, is there any question? If you have any question, you can raise your hand. Any question, you can raise your hand. I can see that you're already writing your name and matric number on the chat box. Thank you for that. Any question on what we've done so far? Any question? So if there is no question, let's quickly go through information sourcing and organization, because you need all these in your write-up. You need them. And if you don't manage them well, they may create crisis for you. Because we have information sourcing and organization. You need to know that information sourcing is essential in book writing. You can't just sit at home and say, I want to write a book. I can think and write. No. You will not get the right thing. Before you can write a book, you are expected to read books, several books, to see how other people have written their work. Very soon next year, you start writing your project in your various departments. But if you don't know how to source information, you will run into trouble. The supervisor will just show you where you copy something that you brought to him or her. And therefore, you may lose your score. It may get to a stage, supervisor may say, I'm no longer interested in you. Go and look for another supervisor because I can't append my signature on a document that is filled with plagiarism. Apart from that, or a document that is not well written. So you need to source information from different places before you can engage in composition of books or any written materials. And that's the reason in your assignments, your term papers, you are expected to consult books, different materials from different sources. And once you have done that, you will have ample information to work with so that there will be no problem in what you have to do. And there are two major sources of information we have. We have libraries and field studies. How many of you have been to Unilag Library to study? Hello, I need your response. How many of you have been to library to study? Okay, Blossom.
I've been to the library.
Okay, I see. Okay. Okay. Then what did you observe in the library?
There are places, shelves for books, and there are also places to sit to study.
Yes. There are spaces for books, not only with there are journals. That means you have not really explored library because we also have e-library there.
Yes, yes.
Where you can get materials online, where you can download articles and journals. I know that you only go there during the exam with your own books to go and read. Many of you have not gone there to go and look for books to read. There are many books on the shelf, very useful for you, but you have not taken your time. You see them as old, archaic materials. But those old books may contain certain information that will help you to understand what you are doing now. And if you don't get information from those old books, you may not get to the foundation of what you need to understand in your studies. So our two major sources, we have libraries and field studies. And I'm sure you are doing oral African literature this semester. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Good. And for the oral African literature, you know you need to engage in field work. So that one will take you to field. So go and study there and see what is going on the field. And going to the field, you must go there with a purpose to get the information on your area of research. And you also need to use a lot of devices, the gadgets, to collect your information. Some are handwritten, some are documents that you need to see, take the photograph of. Some are different sites you need to belong to. And some you need, so they need to make some recitation, perform some ritual to get your information. So anything you want to write, you need to source information. You need to source information from different areas. So later, we still talk about the library, then we talk about the field sources. So let's come back to your work. Let me ask the class governors, how many groups have been formed already?
All the groups have been formed, sir.
But are they aware of the group they belong to? Because you have not sent a copy to me.
They are all aware. We are working on gathering the lists to be put together on a document so that we can send it to you, sir.
Okay. Once they are aware, I will get the list. Then, have they actually appointed the group leader? Adeoye, we are talking, yes.
Some groups have, but some have not, because I told them for education specifically. I'm talking about education. For
Okay.
education, some have sent me the names of the leaders, while some have not. So I gave the class up till Wednesday to submit the full list of the group leaders and assistants and intended topics that they want to use for the project, sir.
Okay, good. Then what of English arts? English arts representative. Yomi, are you in class? Yomi, Jasper, Bolu, Yinka. Or none of you is available? Hello? Nobody to speak for English arts.
Sir, I think for art,
No, don't
they
speak
are
for them.
also on the
William,
top.
don't speak for them.
Okay, sir.
Don't speak for them. It's not allowed.
Hello, good evening, sir. So I
Yes,
heard
sir.
my name. This is Bolo Atife.
I know you are the one.
What's
Go
my
ahead.
name now? That's why I'm signifying that I'm in the class.
And why did I ask?
I couldn't hear you. My network was bad.
That means you are not in class. How far with the preparation of the class group?
Oh yeah, we've spoken with the class. So you said we should use the same group as oral communication. So we've reached out to the group leader and explained to them how to go about it.
Then are they actually ready for the task?
Yeah, everybody is eager for it, sir. They are
And
eager to
let
do
them,
it.
so I will get the list from you. Let them meet,
Okay.
appoint a group leader. I know all of them are listening now.
Yes,
I will
sir.
give I will say give either you are going to form a WhatsApp group or whatever for each of the group. Tell
Yeah,
them
we've done that already. We have an existing group and an
okay.
existing leader for
Then
each group.
for each group, good. Tell them to work on the 3 topics, 3 book titles. And whoever suggests a title should summarize the message of the book. If you
Okay, sir.
suggest a topic title, then you need to also show us the summary, the synopsis of some of those books.
Okay, each of the topics. I don't get.
Yes. Yes, each of the topics. We only need 3
Okay.
from you. Each of the topics.
Okay,
Because
so are we supposed? Should I submit everything to you once I get them?
once they get it, they need to create a file and forward it to you. Because that may need outside. The file may have to be
Okay, sir.
submitted
Okay, sir.
physically. The file may need to be submitted physically.
Okay.
All of them might find a means of getting it across
Okay.
to you. Either you print for them or whatever. You get a file. Each group must have a
Okay,
file
sir.
that will contain the documents. Name of the members will be there, and the title. Each title on the page with a synopsis of the title of the book, what the book entails.
Okay, sir. When is the deadline, sir, for this?
Well, we can look at it maybe in 2 weeks' time because so that you can have time to start the work in earnest. Then
Okay.
maybe when you resume, there are a lot of the work that I would have liked to present to you. Maybe let me close the
Okay.
sharing. I'm bolding my
Okay.
and take over the screen. You can mute yourself, Bolu,
Okay, sir.
so that I bring some of the copies for you to look at. Let me just see how I can. Don't understand this thing. Maybe we might find some other means of maybe I may take the photograph of the titles and get it shared later. If I can't do that now. Let's just go back to what we are doing. So let me just read a bit of the book titles. Just give me a few seconds. Hello. Hello. Are we still together?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Because I don't know what's happened at the network, the internet, just the screen just went off. I tried to reconnect. So like the other text I was showing you, by this group, like politics and religion, this is what the group prepared. But when you come around, you will see a lot of them, impact of COVID-19, change in Nigeria. There are several texts that people produce. Gender, culture, and entrepreneurship developments. And you will see the book that are well designed, religion and superstition, cyber crime and security, piercing and tattoo industry, internet and teenagers, the ravaging pandemic COVID-19, plastic waste on the ecosystem. So there are several topics that people have worked on. Mental health, reproduction at a glance. This one treats more of biological aspects. Technology, effect of technology in education, female genital mutilation, environmental pollution in Nigeria, sexual assaults, substance addiction. So there are several texts. So you can choose any of those. So just look for something they call a contemporary topic. Look for a contemporary topic that you can work on. Then from there, just make sure you think or read around it and get a title. And let your title be projected. And once it is presented, then give us summary of what your book intends to convey, the message you intend to pass across to your audience. Because not all the time we spend in class, because so that you have time to meet and do some other things, since that book will stand for 40 marks. It will be 40 marks, while your exam will be 60 marks. So that's that. Any question?